going on, guys? So for my second video, I have a lot of people that follow me that constantly ask, what is the gospel? What is Jesus? How do I get close to him? How do I understand God? What does he want from me? Why are we here? Why do we do bad things? What happens to people that do good things that don't believe? And I'm going to try to simplify it by explaining the gospel and salvation in this video. So first, why are we here? God created us with the idea of creating us in his image, meaning he wanted companionship. He wanted love from somebody in his image. If you believe the stories of the Bible, believe the beginning of the Bible, God created Adam and Eve in perfection, in his image. He was perfect. In that perfection, he granted us allowance to be autonomous, self-governing. We operate under free will. In that free will, we make our own decisions. Everything in life has a choice and a consequence. In the Garden of Perfection, the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam and Eve everything they needed to be with him in perfection while still operating under free will, while still giving them the availability to use their free will. That's why people always ask, well, why would he put the tree there if he didn't want them to eat from it and he knew they were going to do that? Well, as I've said in previous videos, if God intervenes on our free will on one level, he would have to intervene on our free will on every level. And if you're forcing somebody to love you, then it's not true love. If he's going to intervene on that love and say, well, I'm going to stop everything that happens so they don't sin because they have to love me. Is that true love? Look at it this way. How many times has a guy pursued a female, said, oh, I love you, I want to be with you, or I want you to be my girlfriend, and she says, no, I'm not interested. I just want to be friends. And the guy's persistent. He keeps writing letters and notes and sending flowers. And she said, no, I'm not interested. And one day the guy grabs her and he says, I'm going to force you to love me. Is that how love works? Is that girl going to in turn say, oh, okay, now it's fine? No, she's not going to be happy. It's forced love. Basically by threat. God allowing us to love him makes it pure, makes it true. So in that free love, in that free will, we chose to go against God inherently. And I love when people say, oh, if it was me, I wouldn't eat from the... Yes, you would have. Yes, you would have. Inherently, we're selfish, we're greedy. Inherently, we go against the grain. So regardless of who did it, Adam, Eve, or anybody else that would have come along, they would have broken the cardinal rule of going against God's word. So God intervened and said, okay, you want to operate completely under free will, you want to give away this gift that I gave you of perfection, that's fine. Now I send you into the real world. And the only way to get back to me, back to perfection, is again being perfect. So God lays out his rules, his commandments. These are the requirements that meet perfection, and you need to meet these standards, and if you don't, you cannot enter in perfection. God doesn't allow imperfection around perfection. It's a negating argument. It rejects it. So in these rules that God bestows upon us, he knows only somebody perfect can meet that criteria. And if there's only one perfect being him, who could meet that criteria? Him. God sent himself as Jesus to come down here to show us how to live those rules, how to live perfectly, and said, here, watch me do it. And even then, you would think, hey, God sent himself as Jesus to live as an example to show us how to really do it. Man, we got it made. Now all we have to do is follow him. No, even then God knows, step by step, watching Christ 2,000 years ago, that people still couldn't do it. God made it even easier to say, you know what? I know you can't meet my standards of perfection. I know you can't live as me, as Christ. I know you can't do that. So even better, I'm going to take all your wrongdoings, all your transgressions against me. I'm going to pile it on my back. Live perfectly while carrying that sin, and then willingly give up my life in place of yours. The death that you should have died, the cross that you should have been nailed to, I'll take it. Why? Because I love you that much, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me. It's not about perfection. It's not about meeting the rules. It's not about living this life that has to, quote unquote, please God under this, oh, if I slip up once, he's going to hate me. No. People look at it so wrong. God sent himself as Jesus out of pure love, knowing that we couldn't meet his standards. So he said, I'll come down and meet my own standard so that you can come back to perfection with me because I love you that much. That is mind-blowing to me. You see, it was never about God demanding the perfection. It was about him wanting to be with you that much, him loving you that much that he said, they can't meet my standards. Even though my standards are perfection, I know they can't meet it. So I'll go down, take the wrath of all their wrongdoings, die for it so they can be with me. That's unbelievable. That is the most selfless act of love known to man. Somebody who didn't have to do anything, who could have said, here's your rules, follow them or not. You're operating under free will. Go ahead. If you listen, you do. If you don't, well, sorry. No. He said, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to show them how much it takes to live like this, knowing that they can't, and then die for it, just so they can come back here with me. And then the big question is, so what is that? What's the requirements now? Now that God created us, gave us free will, we went against it. He gave us rules, we went against them. He came down and lived it for us, died for it. Even then, what do we have to do to be reunited back into perfection? Simply believing in the gospel. God knew the 10 Commandments were too hard to follow. God knew that his requirements were that of perfection. It doesn't take a perfect person to accept a free gift. That is the gospel. And that grants you full unity back with God in perfection, simply believing in Jesus Christ. That is all he asks, is that you acknowledge everything that I just said in this video. He sent himself when he didn't have to. He died when he didn't have to. He lived perfectly when he didn't have to. And he rose from the grave, proving that he was God when he didn't have to. At any time on the cross, Jesus could have said, you know what, I'm out, man. I'm done. At any time of him carrying the cross to him being executed, he could have said, I'm good, and went back to perfection himself and left all of us stranded. But his individual love for you, for me, for the entire world, even people that rejected him, the same ones that nailed his hands to the cross, he did it for them. If you want to talk about selfless love and the easiest free gift to accept, that is the gospel.